I'm Ray.
I'm Candace.
Welcome to Unpacking Coffee this week.
Oftentimes on the show, we're talking to a coffee roaster, but today...
My name is Benjamin Paz. I work for San Vincente in Honduras. It's a coffee exporting company, and I'm also a coffee farmer.
This is the first time on the show we've been able to talk to somebody that is a part of the producing.
My father started it in late 70s. He had a coffee background because of my grandfather, who was a coffee farmer, who started from zero, from nothing. That was my dad's biggest inspiration. My grandfather was a dreamer, and he didn't have any resources. And when he had his sons, he wanted to share his dreams. He saw in coffee a great potential for success. Sadly, he couldn't do it. But my dad, at a very early age, he took over. And my father started buying coffee from farmers and selling these coffees to exporters in the city. Because coffee in our area is not a traditional product, he was able to start also promoting it with the new farmers that were coming to town and planting coffee. So Peña Blanca is not like other areas in Central America, like Antigua or El Salvador, where you find farms that are like 100 years old. Most of the farms were planted in the 70s, 60s, so he got there right when things were starting. And he got a lot of support from people, from farmers that wanted to sell coffee to him because he was a hard worker and he was a smart man, and he was able to grow. And he became a coffee exporter almost 20 years later. And I got involved after I graduated from school, but I was pretty much working during vacation whenever I had a chance. We were able to grow, we were able to connect with people outside of Honduras. We opened the market, and with the great coffees that we have, the coffees that the farmers are producing, and are giving us those coffees, and we find buyers for those. And this guy buys my coffee.
Hi, my name is Xavier Alexander. I'm co-owner of Metric Coffee in Chicago, Illinois, and I have the great benefit of working with Benjamin. Prior to working with somebody like Benjamin, I was, like many roasters starting out, you work with importers to purchase spot offerings. Rarely do you get the whole picture by purchasing coffee in that way. Not that you are getting bad coffee, you can get excellent coffees that way, but it really meant a lot to me to be able to connect the dots and understand like how the supply chain works within the context of what we do. In Santa Barbara, in his region, like people look to San Vicente, they look to work with them. There's still like new producers that are coming down from the mountains with new coffees each year, so that he's got other roasters that are lining up just to work with them. So it's a matter of like, cool, then something really interesting, exciting comes through, he's able to connect a particular roaster with that producer. So it's definitely a magical place. Really good coffees are born there. Just felt really honored that he was able to kind of say, hey, I think you would be a good fit for this producer.
If a farmer starts to do well, very interested in sharing that information with the rest of the community.
We want everyone to do good. We want to see farmers succeed more now because of the sea market is very low, and not everyone has the access to sell the coffee at a really good price. So we are trying to collaborate with many farmers as much as we can and help them grow and get better. It's not only my job. There's like a big group of people around this doing it. All the people that came when we first started and taught us how to process, how to dry, how to like do this experiment, process this way, dry this way, and we learned from sharing, right? People that came and shared those things, making sure that the whole process from farming until the coffee is finished and ready to be delivered, all these details are being done really, really well. Us as a company, but also the farmers willing to do the right thing in coffee, which is very helpful for us because they collaborate and they make things super easy for me. Basically, what we're doing is just try to guide, them in the right path to produce coffee. They already have the farms, they already have the land, they already have the varieties, the growing conditions. The coffee is good already. So it's just a matter of showing them how to be consistent, how to maintain that.
Yeah. Oftentimes when we're interviewing roasters, they're bringing up the issue of the sea market price. And so we sat down and talked to Benjamin a bit about what the sea market price is and why it's such a huge issue right now.
I mean, so that we're drinking good coffee, I mean, there'll be plenty of
Commercial grade coffee,
either way.
That's not actually true.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a crisis. It's not just about the specialty coffee market, it's about the coffee market overall.
people think about a specialty coffee all the time, right? But a specialty coffee, it's only, what, 10, 15%? Probably less than that in terms of the whole coffee production in the planet. So it's very little, so the impact is very high when the sea market is down.
It's less than $1, we learned that.
Which is not great.
For example, in my personal case, as a coffee exporter and person that been buying from small farmers that are producing low-grown coffee, it's really bad. It's like, imagine that you're getting a salary and then your salary gets cut in half and people tell you like, okay, this is what you're gonna get right now. And that's your only source of income. It's sad that the commercial grade coffee doesn't get the value that it deserves. We all understand that the quality is definitely lower, but at the same time, there's people producing the coffee with the same values as the others, with the same conditions, and those are not being valued, and they have to sacrifice a lot of things in order to produce coffee. How things are right now, a lot of people are not going to sacrifice anything, so they're just gonna get rid of the coffee and try something else. So you have people that have been growing coffee for generations that are just gonna stop right now. We have different types of customers, right? We have customers that buy excellent high-end coffee like Xavier, and at the same time we have people that buy low-grown coffee based on sea market. So most of the buyers that are buying these coffees are clearly paying a lot less, right? Because the market is low, but the retail prices are always the same. Those don't change.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
So, it's not their fault. Great that you are doing business, but there's a responsibility from the roasters about supporting their suppliers.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of customers doing this, and we get a lot of support from our customers. But at the same time, there are a lot of people out there that they don't get this.
Yeah.
And I would say that if companies, like big roasting companies, decide to change a little bit and say, hey, we're gonna, fix the price and we're gonna have the price be like at this spot. It doesn't have to be like double of what it is right now, but at least something that can make farmers get some extra revenue and maintain the coffee. Because the impact is gonna be very negative next year. For exporters, for farmers, and in the meantime for coffee buyers as well. Because the quality is going to be affected. Farmers right now are not interested in producing coffee because it's too cheap and the cost is too high. They cannot just afford to produce the commercial grade coffee. And then because they are not doing it and they still have the coffee, that coffee is gonna be bad in terms of quality because they are not fertilizing, they are not fumigating against diseases, they are not taking care of the farms at all. Some of these farmers are gonna still harvest the coffee and they are going to deliver it just because they wanna save the coffee, but that coffee is not gonna be good in terms of quality. And we cannot reward that. So we cannot pay high prices for bad quality. So it's affecting everyone. In my position, we're gonna have a 30% loss in production next year or more. And the prices are gonna go up because there's not gonna be enough coffee out there to satisfy the demand. So we don't really know exactly when that's going to happen, but it's gonna happen at some point. But sadly, it's gonna cost a lot for a bunch of people.
Hopeful here and there that we'll be able to bring other people on to the show to highlight some of the issues that are coming up in coffee today, but mostly we'll still be talking about design, right?
So it's good to get a design angle in there.
Yeah.
None this time, but that's okay.
That's not true. We did talk about design, and I thought it was interesting.
Oh,
You know, it's a small roaster. I see what the large conglomerate, like the large roasters are doing. They're kind of, they're doing a really good job of copying the narrative of like smaller companies and even in design, which is, you know, you guys work in that field, so I'm sure you've seen plenty of like big roasters are coming up with designs that like look very like, wow, they're trying to model their business. They're rolling it back to cater to that audience, but the quality of the product doesn't match it just doesn't match what they're trying to put out. And what we can do as a small roaster is to continue to be genuine about the stories and the relationships that are forged and education. That's bottom line. That's what's going to set the standard and help people understand the difference between what they're buying at the store for the same price that looks really fancy and elevated with gold leaf, etc., versus like, you know, what smaller roasters, and that's not to say that a smaller roaster can do a better or worse job. It's really the whole picture.
Talk about design, that sometimes there are coffees out there that are in beautiful packaging, but it's not necessarily fantastic coffee. And then you have coffees out there that are maybe not in as fancy of packaging, but the coffee inside is beautiful. And one of the struggles I think that we often see is, how do you get that message out about what's inside? Like, it doesn't always match the packaging. Something that, you know, Benjamin was talking about making consumers more aware of is just really understanding, like, what are you looking for? What are you reading about, so that you know whether the coffee you're getting is good coffee.
you do that by hiring a good design studio.
And then getting your coffee from
Good people.
good people. Yes.
Yes. But on a related note, this podcast is brought to you by Need More Designs. We do design for the coffee industry. These folks right here.
We gotta put good coffee in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the deal. Definitely a special thanks to Xavier from Metric, who is in the shot because he's the one who set this all up too.